Throttle warning.
What's up? You checking out the Frequent Flyer, and I'd like to welcome you guys back to my RC Chop Shop. This is the new TinyHawk, little tiny whoop from Emax, their version of a tiny whoop. And so this thing is brushless though. Can't leave that part out. It's a brushless tiny whoop. And so we're gonna do two things to this little guy. We're gonna first off add a buzzer. So I have the buzzer already ready to go. And so we're going to solder this in, get an active buzzer on this little guy. And I already did this pigtail chop here. I added a longer pigtail, chopped the one that was originally coming out of this thing here. We're going to add this little guy. So this is a capacitor. So you can see, let me see, there. 25 volt, 220 UF. And the reason I want to add that is to see if that solves our problem with dropouts when we reach LVC of the battery. Hopefully that works. So let's get it. Already weighed these two. And so we're only adding 1.8 grams to this. It shouldn't be a problem. So let's get started with taking this bottom off. Just 4 screws that we need to remove from this. Right here, here, and here, and here. So we got our 4 screws out there. And so let's pull this off. Battery bay comes off, and there's the board inside there. You guys that were asking about DSMX, you can run a DSMX receiver on this. And this is the pad here for 3.3 volts. Then we have our negative, and then we have our RX. It looks like RX1 there. And there we have the bind button. So on the other side of this is where we're going to have to solder on our buzzer. We're going to get the capacitor right here. We're going to have to run it from here up into the canopy here. So we have some soft mounting grommets here on each part. So we're going to have to lift that up. There we go. That seems like the easier method. Now that we have all the motors popped out of the sockets, we should be able to pull this down a little further. There we go. And so right on the other side of this pad here, I think these two pads are it here, right next to the camera wires. Let me do some further inspection to make sure that's the one, because it might be these. Let's see, they should be marked. No, this is your S bus. If you wanted to hook up a S bus receiver, so Fly Sky guys, this is where you're gonna hook up your Fly Sky RX. Let's see if I can zoom it in a little. See that, guys? Right there. BZ, that's for buzzer. Negative there. And the positive should be right under here. 5 volts. Alright, y'all, so I didn't really want to have to use my big helping hand, so I'm using this little tiny helping hand. And so let's zoom in so you guys can see what's going on here. These two little pads here are our targets. So I'm going to try to get some solder on those. Let's see. The iron is nice and hot. You get some solder on there. I gotta make sure I don't touch this frame with it. See if we can get some solder on there, just tapping it. Man, this is a hard way to work. I think I'm just gonna have to take this canopy off. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to take the frame off because I really don't want to risk soldering the wrong thing. So I just gotta pop this camera out. Okay, so let's zoom out. This little part here, we're gonna have to pull this down a little and push from the front here. Get this little camera out. I might have to use something a little. There we go. So we can get that out. Now I gotta remember that this part here with the soldering goes up top on this camera here. So the camera sits up this way. That's right side up for the camera. And so now we can see those pads a little better. So let's hook that up on here. Again, I'm wondering now if I should use my larger helping hand. It'll be a little closer to where I'm standing, but probably not as good for you guys to see with this camera here. So I think we're going to keep it this way. Let's slide it back a little. Make it super tough for me to do. But you guys got to see. So let me dip it down a little bit so you guys can see it a little better. Now let's try this again with the soldering iron. Okay, we're gonna get the negative first. Go. Let's try to tap the positive. Oh man, see, that's what I was afraid of there. I bridged with that cam there. Yeah, I gotta clean that off. Okay, look like we got it loose. Check it with the video. Easier to see it with the video than with my naked eye. And it looks like we're separated now. Yeah, it looks like we're separated to me. Let's try it a little more, just to make sure. There we go. Definitely separated now. So let's get this buzzer on. Negative is the black wire. Positive is the white. So we're just going to tap this one on here. Go. Tap this one on this side. I think we're in business now with the buzzer. So here goes nothing. Here we go here. Let's see if we hear the buzzer sound up when I apply some power here. There we go. I didn't hear any ESCs because we unplugged the motors. So that's good. We got the buzzer in. While we have it out, let's look and see. Zoom you guys back out. So let's look and see. We're going to run it from here. We already have some capacitors on the other side here, but we're going to add more on this side. So bigger capacitor right there. If I was savvy enough, I would get it on here and have it stuck on here some kind of way, but we're going to stick with this. Let me see. Let's look in this canopy here and see what kind of room we have. So the camera's going to be up in here. Looks like we might be able to get it right there. We might be able to get it right there. And get the buzzer on this side. I have to tin these wires for this capacitor here. So we're going to stick this on here. And tap those real quick. Okay. So now you can just get this on. Go right here with this one. Tap it. Let's get it on the hot side. Tap it. Get this other one on. Tap it. And we're in business. So we have both capacitors and buzzer on this thing. Hopefully everything's right. So let's plug it again. Give it the magic smoke test. Oh man. Let's see. Let's hold this by one of the grommets. Smoke test number 2. Everything's okay. So, let's see. How are we going to do this capacitor thing? We're going to have to... We're in the back here. So it's going to be like this. So let's get the cam in first, and then we're going to see about putting this capacitor up in the canopy. So let's see. Still got all my grommets and everything. Put this one in first and then try to stretch it to get the other one in. There we go. I'll snap the other one in. So the camera's in. I had to get this one in first and then pull the camera here this way, and at the same time pull the frame this way. And so that was kind of awkward, but I got it done. In case you guys need to do that, that's what I did. We're going to stick this antenna up here. The receiver antenna needs to be poking out the back there. I probably should try to stick this antenna up there too. Let's try to straighten this one out. The VTX, that is. Let's see if we can get the VTX sticking up through there. One of my little grommets came off on the back. Let's get the grommet back on. Okay, so we got all of them lined up. Everything's in. You guys can see that. Got this sticking out, and they're both aiming towards the back, and we got the buzzer here. So I don't know, maybe I'm going to try to put the buzzer on this. I'm thinking maybe I could have ran it and stuck it here. What do you guys think? That look like a good spot for the buzzer? Well, it looks like the buzzer wouldn't fit all the way this way in that groove there. That would have been cool if the wire for the buzzer was a little longer. Maybe cut that and have the buzzer sticking right there. Virtually invisible screws here. They're so tiny. Get it lined up on the screwdriver. Let's test it again. So it looks like everything's working. Let's try to turn on the transmitter. There we go. Bound to my 8S Devo. And the motors are not spinning up though. There we go. I don't know what that beeping was. So it is flying, guys. We're going to take off with this thing. Let's go check it out. Alright, y'all. So I removed the capacitor because I tested this indoor and it exhibits the same behavior with the capacitor. It kind of smoothened it out, but it's still doing the same thing at LVC. It's still browning out for a quick second or a fraction of a second, and it goes up and it continues to do the last input that you gave. And so I'm gonna just try adding an XT30. I'm thinking that it's a bottleneck as far as the power is concerned. This power lead, the PH 2.0, is rated for 2 amps. I think that's not enough. Maybe it's bottlenecked right there. So a JST is rated for 3 amps and an XT30 is rated for 30 amps. I know that's overkill, but I'm going to go for the 30. I'm going to go for the XT30. That way we'll know beyond a shadow of a doubt. If the XT30 does not fix the problem, then I'll know it's just the batteries, and I'll probably go for those graphene batteries. There's a 1S graphene pack being sold on eBay, and so I'm going to order a few of those, maybe about 4, and test those out and see if this thing does the same thing with those graphene batteries. But let's get on this XT30. I'm just going to chop these off. It's easier for me to add an XT30 than a JST, so that's why I'm going with the XT30 for the overkill. And I'm just going to chop these and just solder them up to an XT30 and do the same with this battery here, and then we're going to test it. So let's get it. So we're going to start by just chopping this. There. Feel bad doing that. I should have left more lead on it. But so now just pull the edges off to expose the inside of the wires. There we go. Some nice edges there. And so Now we're just going to get a little solder on those. There, we got some solder on it. Okay. Get a bunch of solder up in here. Go. Spin it around, do the same thing in this one. The positive. Just want to melt that wire in there. And we got the first one in, but now so it should be on now. Sorry if I got my big thumbs in the way. Really hard to have it on an angle where you guys can see it all. Hopefully you saw it all go down. Okay, so we got that. The quad is done. I'm going to sacrifice this 600 milliamp hour. I was going to do this off camera, but I think it's pretty important that I do it on camera so you guys know. You're never supposed to cut both of them. It's only 1S, so it's probably not going to be such a big thing, but it will spark on you. So make sure you cut one of them at a time. Just going to cut the ground first, so we don't have any sparks or anything flying. Cut the positive last. Doesn't matter which way you do it though, but as long as you don't do them at the same time, you should be straight. Pull the edges off there. Solder on both of them. There we go. Now we're going to solder up this piece here. This goes on the battery. Flat side is the hot side. Here's my solder. Some solder on this. Okay, so we in. My other battery done. So now we just got to get this one side. Got to get the positive side. And I think we're done. I know, big old piece of heat shrink. See how it goes. Hopefully everything's soldered up correctly. This definitely more weight added to this little guy. Oop, can't find my transmitter. Where my transmitter at? Okay, let's fire it up again. Well, we know it works. Let's take it outside and check it out. The antenna. Oh!